7 o'clock, I'll call the board meeting to order. Rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd just like to say one thing to the board. The Summerfest has finalized their new signs. You have two at each end of Hopkinton, and you have a new one down in Fort Jackson with the gazebo at the top, and the new one in the park has been redone as well.
Yes, I think I like the curve. You beat me to it, Sue. I was going to bring that
Oh.
up.
Process.
Thank you.
That was very nice.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on then.
Right. I got a phone call today with a lady that I was hoping Mr. Cooper's gonna be here. She's got issues with a trailer up on White Hill that has dogs and not being fed properly. The place has got a lot of junk and debris around. Cops have been there, dog control's been there. Are you aware of this at all? Or?
He hasn't mentioned it to me.
Just want to know if we had, if there's anything we can do. I don't know if Mr. Phillips needs to be bumped a little bit on this, or if he's been there.
Do we know what, if he did anything?
Supposedly, as long as there's dog dishes around them, according to the lady.
So this person has,
I guess Phillips has been there, I guess the cops have been there, and nothing's being done. She's self-consciously just driving.
okay, so this lady that called doesn't live in the
No, she
town.
just drives by.
Okay, for the neighbor. Do we know exactly where it is, so I can tell Bruce?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm calling after the meeting.
Okay, I don't know how, told her I'd bring it up, I
Yep.
don't know how much more we can do.
I'll call him and see if he hasn't mentioned anything to me, but that doesn't mean. Okay, approval of the minutes from October 18th and the budget work session from the 27th.
I have a correction. Misspelling the name.
Okay.
Okay. There should be two T's at the end.
Yep.
Okay.
There.
Yep.
Minor
That's a minor issue, but
Yes, it is correct. Need to be correct.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes with the exception on this correction.
Then we have a motion second.
I'll second it.
Ricky seconds. All in favor? Aye. Approval of the financial report for October 2021. Motion.
I have a motion for that one.
Rick made a motion to approve the audited bills. A second.
I'll second.
Debbie
What's wrong,
seconds.
Debbie?
We're just going to be bouncing
All
back.
right, I didn't know if there's something I was.
No.
So you leave and I'll just second.
Would you like to sit over here? So no. Debbie seconds. All in favor? Aye. Audit of bills, vouchers number 252 to 276 in the general account for $19,802.17. Vouchers number 108 to 120 in the highway account for $70,921.66. And vouchers number 19 to 20 for the BHLS account for $450. Motion to approve the audit of bills.
J and F needs to be not paid until they pick up the trash, which is from the second week. I think we need to hold off on that.
Yep. Did you make a motion?
I make a motion that we do not pay J and F until they pick up the trash.
Rick seconds. All in favor? No budget report today. We did not get a report from Rick Perkins. So we'll skip over that. Did get a letter from Roger Linden letter to the dentist at DHLS, telling him that his lease expires at the end of the year and that he will need to vacate. However, just got a letter hot off the press from Mark Peets, who the dentist had sent a letter to him. The dentist is offering to purchase it. And he also sent a letter to Roger Linden. Roger's doing the letter to all of us. I have a feeling Roger may tell us that we can't sell it outright, that we may have to bid it because it's owned by municipalities, but we do have an offer of $25,000. So I'll keep you all updated on that as soon as I hear from Roger. Questions on that? No? We were going to pass the USDA resolution tonight so we can get going on the bonding for the new plow truck. However, we need 2/3 and we don't have it. So we will have to table that until December.
How's that gonna affect the
Well, I was going to set us behind because now we can't advertise it until after the meeting. So we're into into January before we can, unless you want to do a special meeting to do that. And
The
then,
email's not satisfactory.
no. And then I'm not even sure if we would get if Gilbert would be here at that time.
If he's not here, can you do a Zoom with him and he can make it? Can you do a Zoom with Gilbert if he can make it?
No, because he
No,
doesn't,
you can't vote on the Zoom.
he doesn't have the capability.
Can you swear in a board member?
Swear in the board member?
Just asking this.
Will that also affect the Kubota?
Okay, well,
Kubota, are they tied together?
The bond for the truck bond.
this is just the bond on the truck. It won't affect the boom board.
Oh, okay.
But we need to have this done before we can order it.
Well, truck's already been.
Been ordered? Okay.
So,
What's this gonna affect then?
I thought this was for the boat.
Yeah. It's for both, so we understand it then.
That's what I thought it was.
No,
No, I thought it was just for the, because it's only for 214,000.
Yeah, and total cost is $245.
Oh, yep, it is for
Yeah.
both. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did, yeah.
Yes.
if we run over, past January 1st, will that affect funding for that? Do we have to worry about losing something like that?
Jim, you gotta speak up. I'm old and deaf.
Oh, I'm sorry. If we run over, like into, past January 1st, would that have an impact on possibly losing money for this, or?
No, we won't lose the money, but it could put delivery of the truck behind.
And is there any possibility that that could affect cost of, say, the boom mower? I mean, if prices go up on that, you might actually.
No, well, I had called, I emailed Snell Equipment, told them to go ahead and order the boom mower, because I wanted to lock in the price. So I think we're all set.
So if everything's ordered, how's that gonna slow the
It's
delivery?
gonna slow down, well, it won't slow down the delivery, slow down the delivery, us taking delivery. Because I don't know how long it takes to get the bond council put through.
Oh, this equipment's gonna be far out. We'll have that done long for this equipment's built.
Not for it's built, I mean, I'm assuming they've started on the truck already.
And then it's gonna go to Viking.
Yep.
Not yet.
We're a year out on this truck, aren't we?
Spring,
Yeah,
And this last truck, when were we supposed to get it and when did we get it? Anybody know, remember that?
That's about 3 months behind.
Now it's post-COVID or pre-COVID.
so.
And I'll put it in COVID, now you can add 6.
And Mark Brown from Snell swung by the shop today, and I don't know if they misplaced the paperwork, I don't have any idea, but he's telling me that they don't have it, so.
That they don't have,
The PO. The PO. The PO and, something to do with the pricing that has to be written down on the PO. That's what, I think he didn't really swing by to say hello, I think he swung by to prod me along. is what I
okay,
think.
I'll give them a call tomorrow.
Okay.
I just got one, Ricky, on the truck. I talked to the salesman last week. The truck is supposed to go into production the first week of December. They're hoping to have it in Watertown by 1st of January.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's moving faster than I ever expected.
They're trying to stay on schedule, but then again, it's parts availability.
But if you still gotta pay for it before it leaves there to go to Viking too, so.
I don't think so.
It's
You
not,
don't, you
okay.
don't pay for it until it goes to Viking, then the truck will go back to BMAC for final inspection.
Okay. So I think we're,
So,
I think we're safe, aren't we?
I think so.
so we have to advertise special meeting, correct?
If we have, yes.
Okay, so that's a 7-day or 10-day in the newspaper?
Well, I can get it out tomorrow, so we could do it next week. We could do it next week.
You know, if I go over that.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not sure.
and next week is Thanksgiving, along.
Yeah.
Can we do it maybe the 29th? He has a cold,
No,
so,
Yeah, well, no, I know, and we don't want to bring it in front of us.
no. So, I'll call him tonight, see if the 29th, does 29th work for everybody? I mean,
What night is that?
it's a month.
Monday.
Mhm. I mean, we need to, I'm just looking at my calendar.
Hang on, I shut my phone down. Is that what you?
So while you're waiting, can you give me a breakdown on how we're paying for this, how much the grant is paying
For the truck, we're financing all of the truck.
So you're bonding the truck, you're not financing it through, you're doing a bond through USDA. So the $345,000 you're getting all for the mower?
No, that $345,000 includes the mower and the truck. The mower is, I can't remember now.
123 in there, somewhere in there.
I thought we were getting like 10 or 15,000
So
for
we're
a
getting
truck.
$130,000 in a grant, which will pay for the mower and part of the, and probably the fee for the bond counsel attorney, which is $4,000. So we won't have much left over for the truck.
Then we had the down payment from the insurance for the last truck. We used to pay off the other truck early.
Yes.
You're gonna use $130 of grant towards the mower, which the mower cost, total cost of the mower is
About 125.
125. The balance of that you're gonna put towards the truck,
Plus the 4,000 for the bond.
the 4,000 for the bond, and then the insurance payment. Is going towards the truck as a down payment.
I think
No, we
we
used
used that to
that
pay
for-
off the truck we still owed upon, so we're debt free, we don't owe anything on the truck.
Yes, I can do 20.
Well, I will talk to Gilbert tonight, because I just want to look at that. I'll let you know tomorrow, Richard.
So I'm gonna be in the office for one.
Okay.
So.
So that we did it, I mean, I think we would need to play on this. That's my opinion. I mean, I'm not the only one here, so, Ricky, what do you think?
29?
I mean, do you think we should move that quickly, or is that not quick enough?
Well, honestly, just do it right now, we'll take our chances, at the next meeting, then we'll do an official one. Nobody's gonna get it.
You're gonna have a special meeting on the 29th, and you're gonna have a regular meeting before then. And if you can
November 29th.
I'm sorry, I need to clarify.
But I need a motion for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so approval to hold a special meeting on November 29th, as long as Gilbert is available to do the USDA resolution.
I make a motion that we,
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor? Okay. Did you have any more questions on that, Vicki? Got a letter from the Volunteer Transportation Center. We've never, to my knowledge, we've never donated to this before. And they're saying that they're trying to make money. It's the, I'm assuming it's the bus that comes through. And they say that we've had, in 2020, 749 miles that we covered. And I'm assuming this unit is of 15 people. Says township ask is based on population percentage, not actual rise, as the number of people needing transportation in each town will change year to year. What they're looking for is a donation of $234. Says more than 15 years ago, the towns were first asked to help finance transportation for their constituents. Our target has remained unchanged until now. However, we have seen an increased need for rural transportation services. Funds allocated to this campaign are strictly used to reimburse volunteers for mileage. With that in mind, we are respectfully asking the town of Hopkinton to contribute $234 in 2022. And they sent us a contract. To your,
Well, that's not, I cannot believe this is the bus service, because that's run by the county and funded by the county. When you read the letter, this is from the Public Commission. I believe this is people that are volunteering their services in their own private vehicles. Yeah, take people, the doctor's appointments, clinic, groceries, whatever.
yeah, that's what I thought it was too. I didn't think I didn't even,
It's not the bus service.
yeah, this
have
is
we
just,
ever,
I do not remember ever.
what's your thoughts? Ignore it?
well,
I don't bet.
I think we need to look into this a little bit further. There are a lot of darn scams out there. And just because it's legitimate looking letterhead.
I don't think it's a scam. I mean,
No, I
I've
mean,
heard
they've got a
it
good
started-
transportation list. and-
I guess, but I mean,
Well, it does
I'm
have to
not
have an
opposed to
office in
this.
St. Lawrence County.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to this, but if,
Well, then, Debbie, do you want to call them and get more information?
yeah.
Okay. Let's talk.
Because we can definitely do a letter and say that, maybe next year you could propose this during our budget process instead of after our budget process.
Yeah, because this is a,
Okay, a motion to table this and to have Debbie get more information.
yeah.
Debbie made a motion, second? Rick, seconds, all in favor? Aye. Old business, Cornerstone, we have the estimate for the UV system. And like I said, last month, the estimate is $5,178. I did check with some other places, they never returned my calls. Debbie did talk to someone who said that that was a decent price, correct, Debbie?
Yes, yeah.
So, I say I would recommend, in my own opinion, that we go ahead and get this going, so we don't have to keep getting our water tested, and we can use our ARPA funds for that. Agree or disagree?
Well, it will save on the testing and people will be able to use the water here and we won't have to buy the bottled water.
Won't you have to still do monthly testing?
Yeah.
For a
Well,
while.
we're putting the stuff
For a
that-
while.
For a
yeah.
while.
Yeah.
Until it's
until we get a negative result for a while.
I don't know.
The problem has a cornerstone there, we've got a neighborhood of hot water for your house.
No, we had an issue because the water wasn't being used enough.
The hot water?
Oh, no, that was initial last year, but it was one of the settings for it. And
Okay, so it wasn't like it was corrected and.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've not heard any more complaints with not having hot water. Of course, we also haven't used it as much last year, but soon after that was done, we didn't have any more issues.
I mean,
Who else would do these? Who else would we get a price for from them?
you tell me, I've called,
Your Pipestone, I
know
know
Pipestone.
Yeah, I know.
they didn't get back, we spoke to, was it Bronson's?
Yep.
They don't do this. I left a message with the receptionist at Wright Electrical. Yeah, Wright Plumbing meeting. They never got back to me, so I don't know who else you would.
I wish Luke was here, he could have missed that.
Bruce did tell me when we first started talking about this, if we couldn't find someone, he thinks he could hook it up. We could buy everything and he could, but
That's for that idea, because he may save a pile of money.
then there's no warranty.
But that's,
And he wasn't willing to do it free, I mean.
No, I know, I'm still gonna pay him, but
Yeah.
I still think there's.
I saw the price of one, they were over $4,000. And it was close to $4,700. So, I mean, I don't think that this is unreasonable.
Oh, I also called the place in, this place in Malone, and they never got back to me.
Yeah, I mean,
And I contacted one that Bruce had recommended. They only sell them, they don't install them. They recommended the person in Malone, and they're busy. So, if you can make it someone else, I'm open to suggestions. Or a motion to accept this quote.
we've got a lot of people that are looking to,
Right now, we've ended because we're just quieted down right now. We've only got 2 scheduled right now. In just the next couple of months. Couple in November and January right now.
How much are you getting on, this year was at 52,000. And, last time we had, health center down there on 16,650.
being chipped away quickly.
Next time we get.
I went, actually, when I saw this, I went on the internet and I tried to find somebody that would do a commercial install, and I couldn't find anything around this Europe. It was like in Canada, and a couple places.
Yeah, Cornerstone really,
Like they look.
Mr.
yeah,
Burns?
you know, put it in-
What do you think?
He's talking to you.
Oh, me?
Yeah. No, I was looking at you. You gotta live with this too, so.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what this equipment is, but I'm thinking hot sand plumbing, I'm thinking any standard plumber will be
They
able
may
to.
sell it, but they don't install.
Right, but wouldn't it just a standard plumber? I mean, I've done lots of my own systems, when I had terrible water in Louisville, and it doesn't seem to be like rocket science.
You can find a standard plumber that will be willing to come in and do it. I've contacted, like I said, several, and Cornerstone's the only one that came to look at it and give us a quote.
If we had somebody purchase it somewhere and have someone else put it in, then we have to check on warranty issues.
Yeah.
Then we gotta find someone to date with it. I don't
What's
know,
wrong
I don't know
with
how much
Cornerstone?
maintenance they are.
I don't on how Cornerstone, they've been very
They've
good.
had good enough to service us in the past.
Well, it's just that when it costs a lot of money, we really should get more than one quote. That's the issue. And,
Well, I can't force people
no,
to give me.
and I get that part of it. That is the problem. I mean,
When our well went to hell here a few years ago,
wasn't even a few years ago.
yeah, well,
this year.
they went out and serviced it, and nobody else would.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't understand, but that's, yeah, right.
I will make a motion that we contract with Cornerstone to do this. It's been something we've been talking about quite a while. It takes care of the issue.
I make a motion that.
I make a motion.
I think you should put.
Oh, she can, oh, she can.
Okay.
Debbie seconds, all in favor? Aye.
I was looking at price up real quick.
Too late. I will contact.
Lose.
I'll let her go. The 2022 budget, we had the public hearing. There weren't any outstanding questions, so I would like to move to get this adopted. Has to be adopted by the 19th, I believe.
I make a motion that we adopt the 2022 budget.
Debbie made a
I'll
motion.
second it.
Right, Rick seconds, all in favor? Aye. Good. Cross off this USDA resolution. Committee reports, supervisor. Okay. Got a couple of things here. It has been suggested that we place a sign in the parking lot regarding the horses and their messes of their roof. Also suggested that perhaps we could do a hitching post and put it out so it's not right in the parking lot. Can't say, not gonna promise that it'll take care of it, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, because I almost had a horse in my car, so, yeah.
See, what they do is when they come to the town office, they tie their horse to that light pole. And if you happen to have been parked there on a Wednesday especially, they the horse blocks you in. So do we want to try, we have the highway crew maybe build us a hitching post?
Where would you like to put it? Where is that?
In the grassy area, the other side of that building.
Whose job do we clean that up?
It's in the garage here. Well, it shouldn't be Jamie. It should be them.
Again, who's gonna clean it up?
Well, we should, whereabouts? Who cleans it up now? It's in the grass.
Some of them are good and park over, behind Glover's and walk over. But there are quite a few that go over to, come into the building and they don't even want to walk that full distance.
Is that right? One of the groundskeeper clean that up?
I think he did the last one.
He might have, but they should be cleaning up after the work.
The town of Lawrence has had the exact same issue.
Yes.
And they put up a sign saying that you must clean up after your horses.
That's what I was, I know a
That
lot of.
doesn't seem out of line. It doesn't seem.
I'm meeting with them and telling them that you need to carry a bucket with you and scoop up your,
Right.
the dogs,
Right.
after your horses.
Absolutely. I mean, right. So at the hitching post, there should be a sign that says, please clean up after your horse. I make a motion, so the hitching post over in the grassy area, far enough way off the driveway and.
Are we gonna need two signs, like a sign down here? Armin parking over there.
They're gonna go there, all the way.
That's the problem, I mean, they don't know about it,
And
don't
we're
see
gonna
it.
have all.
That's a big
Yeah,
issue.
put no parking of horses in.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm worried about, Debbie, putting it over there, I think we're still gonna go on the blacktop.
You're gonna have a trail.
It's says pick up, just like with your dog, pick up after your water. You have to pick up after your dog.
This is Hopkinton though.
Yeah.
We can try it. We'll sign up, see what happens.
It's a little worse than ours.
Trying to drag us into the 21st century.
Do we want to go with?
Not to confuse you, but that's what the price is.
Ricky just found the system online for a little over $700 for the,
If you look up the
What is
model,
that commercial? Is that the same?
if you look up installation of a Trojan B4 UV system, you go to their website, $709. If I did it correctly, somebody please double check me.
Peggy's not here to double
Yeah, I wish
check.
Peggy was double checking.
Peggy's
I was gonna say, how much is that warranty worth to you? You know, the difference of.
I'm just playing out the facts.
No, I understand.
So that's for the system, but you have to also add
There's
on
installation,
all
there's,
the other stuff.
There's quite a bit of stuff here, that they're included, I think.
I still think we need to go with Cornerstone.
it's just get the job done, I'm just showing you what the
Yeah.
the actual unit
Yeah.
cost.
So how long is it warranty?
Actually, it doesn't look that complicated.
It does not say.
It will have to be serviced.
And I'm not sure they'll
within
even
6 to
honor this
12
now.
months.
I think the proposal was good for
We
that.
still gotta pay for them every time they come out to service it too.
Yeah, and it'll probably be, you know, a few $100 every time it's serviced, because the UV bulbs, and if there's, part particulate filters go with it, you know, they're usually fairly pricey.
There's more to it here though, there's cartridges, there's spanner wrenches. I don't know if it's all, I don't think we're comparing apples to apples.
There's a lot to that installation. All the materials that are involved.
Plus, they will show the custodian how the light bulb has to be changed. I mean, they will show you how to do that. Okay, let's move on back to,
Horses.
yeah, back to horses.
How about a barrel and a shovel?
The shovels keep disappearing. That's what happened over Lampiers, I guess.
And that's probably the problem, they don't want to carry a shovel.
You can put a shovel in a barrel and try it, I don't know.
Attach the shovel to the barrel and I'll put the chain on
Who knew that?
To be this much trouble. Didn't have to hold in there with appropriate handles,
Let's, why don't we, for right now, let's just get a sign that says, please clean up after your horses. If it continues, then we'll work on a hitching post. Across the street.
Okay. I make a motion that we, order a sign requesting that they pick up their minerals.
Okay. Debbie made a motion, second.
A second.
Ricky did second. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
That was more work than it should.
Some days, those things are.
Yes, they are.
So in the past, we have had a holiday, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Thanksgiving,
Holiday.
get together with the town board, we invite the highway crew. Last year, we didn't have it because of COVID. The year before that, I was sick and we didn't have it. And we were always going to reschedule it in the summer and we never did. Looking at a date now of December 11th, that's a Saturday. I haven't found a place yet because I didn't want to start anything if no one was interested. Is anyone on the board interested in going? That's for your spouse, partner, friend, brother, sister, whatever. Everyone pays their own way, so.
Anybody have any ideas where you want to go?
Debbie and I discussed it, we thought we could get it catered and have it right here in the town hall.
We don't want to travel too far because every
Every
time we
week it
schedule
snows.
something, we have a blinding blizzard.
We will not have it up at the.
Dear God.
Every time. Every time.
Yeah, Messina, the same place, same thing, and when we had it at the copper. Yeah, every time it's been the worst storm.
I was gonna had it at Riverside the last time, and that was, they have that back room.
Riverside or
Riverview, excuse me.
There's a big difference.
Riverview.
I went to Riverside too. I can call them and see if they're open that night, if that's okay.
The Riverview?
Yeah. Or we've had it at the Lobster House in that back room. The other thing, I'm afraid we're getting kind of late and everything could be booked. Did you turn that heat up to 90?
No.
No, I It's a little warm.
Pretty bad.
So, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got any ideas?
For where to do it, I thought it really sounds great, it really does.
Okay,
What's that again?
I think doing it here sounds,
Who can cater it?
I was gonna call Evans.
of course, I may not be welcome after I get there.
Timber.
Timber really can feel that. You don't know, you can't have it enough, but you can't.
At the timber, but if they would cater it. we would
Oh,
cater it.
no, timber caters and
Anyway, okay, so I will, for right now, schedule it for December 11th. I'll find a place and get it.
Yeah,
We go from there,
yeah,
and then we get the invitation out.
yeah.
Okay, got a notice from Association of Towns, it should have gone under the correspondence, but I didn't. It's about the, February meeting in New York City. If anyone's interested, I have the information. They're also doing it virtual if anyone wants to attend. Let Dick know if you want to go.
Is it beneficial? Does anybody have an opinion on that? I mean, I really don't want to go to New York, but
I went once.
Yeah.
I still don't want to go, Vicki.
I don't want to do it. You're better off doing the one in Albany.
Yeah.
Where the local, newly elected board members and stuff, it's much more
Right.
geared to towns our size. When I went
Yeah,
to
that's
New
a
York
virtual
City, it
one.
was
Yeah, they're doing that virtual.
way out of our ballpark.
Yeah,
So do you feel that the virtual one would be beneficial?
With the Albany one, yes, not even, I don't really do the virtual on the Association of Towns. It's just too large for towns our size. A lot of the things they do don't contain towns our size. But
Okay.
there's another one coming up in January,
The virtual.
virtual one, that one, yes. I do
do
not,
that, absolutely.
I recommend that one.
That one is January 6th and 7th.
Any board members, anybody that
Absolutely.
There's also one in, I think it's June, in Ithaca.
yes,
in
for
Highway.
highway, chips will be there.
Yeah, so that would be a good one for you to go to.
Yes. Don Chambers gave me the fellow's name, Jared, that's, I guess, the man to talk to about chips. And he
Yep.
said I need to have a conversation with him that will enlighten me on the way things should be done. So as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to take his advice on that.
So if anyone wants to attend this newly elected town officials, the Zoom meeting, come see Dick and he'll.
We'll do the paperwork and get the text over and everything.
It is absolutely worth it. I did attend the first year that I was on the board. It's very informative. Just nothing like any other governmental institution that you
It's one, that's
That's the virtual.
Virtual.
They're not having it in.
They're not having it unless it is virtual, but it's very informative, and you learn a lot.
So again, see Dick and he'll sign you up. Next on my list is, I gave you all a copy of the sales tax summary. And we did pretty good this year considering, we're up 41,000 from last year's. And actually, we're way over what we had projected in the budget, so we do have good news for once. Okay, it's also been requested from the board to purchase some AEDs from our rescue funds. And when I was at Frazier's town meeting the other night, I did notice that they had one in their office too attached to the wall, so I think the cost of them is about $1,500 each, and I was thinking we could get 4 of them. One for the town office, one for here, one for town garage, and one for Jim to keep in his pickup truck. And that would be $6,000. And we could use our rescue funds for that.
What is this again?
It's the AED, it's the automatic, very good. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it automatically does it's what Lake Azonia purchased for up there. I just think it would be, since we have these extra funds, and this is one of the things we can use, I think it'd be nice if we had them. They could save one life, it's worth it.
They have a verbal prompting in these, that it talks you through as you do it.
Yeah, as soon as you're on the phone.
Does everything that
I've used verbal.
Thoughts?
I think it's a good idea. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's very valuable.
Rick?
No, I mean,
I think it's a good investment for these funds.
Well, by the time that the rescue gets here, I mean, it's seconds, you know, so.
So if everyone is in agreement, a motion to purchase them?
anybody got any comments?
No, because we're trying to do a grant for the fire department, which is something I'm along with that. You can say the thing.
No, I just didn't know anybody else had any comments, or negatives, or. I'll make a motion.
Okay, Ricky makes a motion to purchase 4.
How many you want to do, 4?
That's what I was thinking.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, one for here, town hall,
garage.
the garage, and we'll go for it in
How big of a, hang wait a minute, before we go on the Jim's truck, how big of a unit are these? I mean, his truck being just a straight cab, he ain't got a lot. Okay, we'll put behind the.
Wait, I don't even have a truck yet, so.
In the future, he does have a truck. He's got,
Yeah.
We'll sit in the back seat.
And the ones that go in the buildings are, they're not a lockbox, they're,
but it's in a glass case.
Yeah.
on one.
Mounted on the wall.
Somebody has to come, we have a yearly, fee checking these out over, or what's the life of these things? Okay.
That, I don't know.
All right.
Is there training on those too?
Training on them?
Turn it on,
Huh?
just turn it on, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I know, we have training with my school there, so I wasn't sure if it's mandatory or, I know it's a no-brainer, but.
We can use Ricky. Comes out then.
Oh, I think one of the new people.
No, you stick it on the wrong.
Right now, Ricky is new. Exactly.
You don't have one
Jimmy's
yet.
newer.
I would think that would, want somebody to know what they're.
But, like, we are a distance from, by the time the rescue, they get to the station to drive here, it's a matter of life and death. So Debbie, making a motion?
Oh, you make the motion, I'm gonna second.
Motion for one.
And she's not
But
that.
we're just gonna be
Wait,
bouncing back and forth, and I'll second.
What I'm trying to say is, someone passes out, they're unconscious for
Oh,
whatever.
it's a great time to try.
Diabetic and his heart's not stopped. Someone comes into the rescue, grabs this machine, starts strapping them up.
It won't do nothing.
It won't do
Won't.
anything.
It will only work if the heart, if there's no heartbeat, it'll shock it. If it senses a heartbeat when you've got the patches on, it'll just stay there and.
Yeah, monitors tells you intoxication.
He's on video.
They found that.
Well, I mean, it's, there's zoning for people that are not having them permitted. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Next is, a while back, we talked about getting a emergency plan together for the highway department if everyone is out with COVID. I put together a tentative draft of one. I didn't bring copies of it, but I'll send this out to everyone by email, and it also has to go to the union before we can even act on it. But basically, it just says that if the employee calls in with symptoms, they're offered the opportunity to call in to be sick, stay home sick that day, they use their time. While they're awaiting their quarantine orders, they need to utilize their benefit time, but if the quarantine comes through and they meet the criteria listed, then their benefit time, and we'll give it back to them. A total of 3 days to be paid for precautionary reasons for any employee with symptoms. The employee must stay at home and only leave the residence for a medical appointment, and we would need proof of that appointment. If an employee has been exposed to someone with COVID, the employee will contact public health to determine if they need to quarantine. If the employee is quarantined, the first quarantine period, 14 days, is paid at regular time without having to utilize their benefit time. If an employee is quarantined a second or third time, the employee must test positive for COVID to be paid regular pay without utilizing the benefit time. If an employee is quarantined a fourth time, the employee will be required to use benefit time whether they have a positive test or not. Quarantines prior to September 1st do not count towards any of these covered times. And then, in the event that all highway employees test positive for COVID, the following guidelines will be used. For emergency duties, the highway superintendent will notify the town supervisor. Highway superintendent shall perform any bargaining unit work he sees as necessary to ensure the smooth operation. It says Article 28, the Teamsters agreement will be voided during the emergency. That's for 2 men in the truck cabs for plowing. At the discretion of the highway superintendent, staggered shifts or 1 man per truck could be implemented. And a shared service agreement between area towns will be utilized if necessary if all employees are affected. We have to have something in case they all get sick.
So is the quarantine period still 14 days? I thought that it went to 10.
It may have, it didn't work out of
And I don't want to go down this slope, I want to ask a question, and
Okay.
I'm not going down this road. If you're vaccinated, is it different than if you're unvaccinated for the quarantine?
Yes, but my.
There's so many differences right now, Leanne has just been positive, and they've given her 3 different dates at different times.
Yeah.
The DOH doesn't even know what
I don't think they know.
and it depends.
Jennifer will be 3 weeks in quarantine. Jim got to 25th and she's not even positive. But yeah, her husband is positive, he gets out the 19th.
It's making less and less sense all the time.
Yeah.
It seemed to be more sense a year ago, but now it's all over the place.
I was in the hospital and never even contacted me.
And today, so I hear that some of the guidelines are saying, well, if you're vaccinated and you don't have to quarantine. If you've been around somebody that's positive, they're not making vaccinated people get quarantined if you've been around somebody.
But yet you still could, yeah. So
It's crazy.
Yeah,
There
like
is
Leanne
no,
go back in, coming back up.
no common.
so.
No.
But I'm just worried about if all the highway guys.
Well, they're all sick, they can all work.
That's the other thing, a lot of people got COVID and still feel fine, can still perform their
that's, I mean, I hope it doesn't.
Don't walk in and go, get in your truck and go.
I don't want it to come to that, but I mean, getting the roads cleared is an emergency. If you had COVID, but you didn't suffer from the symptoms, or your symptoms were mild, is there anything stopping you from trying to perform your duties?
As long as you stay social distance, I'd say you're fine. The problem is, that's his truck, he can no longer share it.
Well, usually the highway superintendent runs the little truck, and, but I mean, if I had COVID, and I wasn't sharing the truck with anybody else, and I felt okay, it seems like I could still go around and do this.
I'll give you an example the state highway department did last year. This friend of mine, he was quarantined, snowstorm, they're shorthanded. They had him come in, just go to your truck. He goes, I just sat in the truck all day. He goes, I didn't plow. Some days they did, some days they didn't. He said, but I was there in case it snowed.
Oh, you had to sit in the truck.
Yeah, he goes, I just sat in the truck.
Well,
This is the state, I'm not saying it was right or wrong, I'm just saying what they did.
It's just, we are kind of a little bit in a pickle too when it comes to guys in the truck, because right now, if anybody is sick or anybody is hurt or anybody has a family crisis, if one man doesn't show up, I've got to sit in one of the big trucks, which means I can't do the circuit that's done with the 450. And you can't just say I'm not going to, plow out everything that gets done. The circuit's 42.4 miles long. I'm not saying you're plowing 42 miles, but that's how much you drive to get to all the spots. The town buildings, a lot of the smaller dirt roads are done with that truck. So, I mean, you just can't say I'm not going to do that till 6 hours from now when we come back. Because right now, the circuits are so long, you've got 2 circuits that the guys are plowing. By the time, if there's a reasonable amount of snow at all, by the time they're done making that, it's time to start all over again. And they really can't do 2 complete circuits if there's halfway decent snow in one shift. So that's kind of a difficult situation there. Should we be down a man at this point?
Have you contacted anybody, any other town supervisors, highway superintendents? What's their plan? I wonder, what are they doing?
Well, I've got to abide by the Teamsters Union, and, so we're going by what's in writing. Now, COVID is a crisis, that would be a different story.
Right, I would think that would
And
be right.
I'm going to be at the mercy of the union on, what they're going to allow. And, I mean, all the guys have been real cooperative helping. I just can't complain about anything as far as that goes. And I guess we're going to find out the hard way what's going to happen. And hopefully we don't have a bad case of COVID, but it doesn't seem to have gone away. It's just right now, I mean, when you're just 4 guys and a supervisor, if any one person gets hurt for any reason, we're going to have a problem that we'll have to address. And like I said, it's not like you can just say, well, I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that.
I think other towns have more employees, so it's not going to be that big of a issue.
Is it, per, consistent with the mileage, like say we have 42 miles, some of these towns, bigger, smaller, do they still have extra employees? Or are they working on different?
Like, take Lawrenceville for an example, how they're doing it. They're actually doing 3 full-time and one highway superintendent. They got 4 full-time?
They
Four
have-
full-time guys.
Four full-time, but they're also running 1 man in the truck in Lawrenceville. And that's how they're able to get away with it. And I hate to say this is an opportune time when we jump a year in advance and look at the idea of doing 1 man in a truck in an emergency situation. And we come up with a plan that everybody agrees upon. And that may be the plan. We may have to jump a year ahead of time and start working on this plan now, or an agreement if it's possible.
I don't know the answer to that. Hopefully, I do have a lot of answers for some questions that you've been asking.
These are just
tonight.
ideas, but
But as of right now, abide by what the union's got to say. And I think they understand that we're in a pickle too.
So let me send this out to everyone, get your feedback, I'll make any changes, whatever, and then we can get it to the union to look at. I mean, this is just something that, I don't think other towns are doing this. Some of this information came from the county, because the county is putting something together, so.
I think that we're the only town that has two men to the truck.
No. Most of the towns that are in the higher country, from what I'm gathering, that have steeper terrain and everything, have 2 men in the truck.
Okay.
We have kind of a mixture of that, and when you are in the higher country, there's much more reasonable possibility that you're gonna have to get out and chain up your truck in the field.
What towns do have them?
Colton, I'm trying to think of which. other-
Churchville, Dixon, Waverly, still all run 2 men.
What's Herman doing?
No idea. I don't think they run 2 men, Herman. Potsdam still runs 1 man.
Well, that's something we can.
Or another idea you should look at is you do the lower routes with 1 guy and your upper routes with 2 guys. Is that a possibility of an option? You know, I mean, your upper route still involves like Adonia, White Hill, upper route, lower route, County Road, Green Road.
I think we're putting Jim on the spot for this. I think we need to work this.
These are just ideas.
Yeah, I know.
I'm throwing out the 2.
I think when we,
I certainly think that would be worth
Yeah.
taking to the union and discussing it with the union. If I hate.
I'll come up with an emergency agreement.
Well, that's what that gives it the authority to do that, next week.
Yeah, but you guys got to agree to it too, though. You know what I mean? It'd be nice if you guys would agree to it and everybody worked together.
We've all read that except for all, so we're all agreed with that.
so that, I mean, we're not voting on this anyway tonight,
No.
so I'll get it out in the email to you. Code is not here, did you leave a report?
No,
Okay.
I used one out and I advised her.
Other way up doing the jobs.
Yeah. I know, you gotta get out and going to some of the higher elevations himself today.
Quite stuck on something. Alan, assessor.
Sandwich County Assessors Association held its October meeting, monthly training session live. Last month it was by Zoom. The meeting was held in the safety building. Topics that were discussed but not limited to are as follows. Election of officers for the Sandwich County Association. The new tax map technician, the one who used to do Hopkinton retired, Jim Race. The new one is Jason Briggs. He's been there for about 2 weeks now. The small claims assessment review hearing officer from Syracuse was fired by New York State. He didn't do a very good job. But he had to do, he was hearing officer for 13 counties. So he was pretty busy, but he wasn't good. The enhanced star IDP lists are current now. The address changes are due in November. We also discussed the new reval towns for 2022. Hopkinton wasn't on that list. Won't be on the list for a while. September foreclosure parcels, there was 105 of them this year. And we discussed the difference in the enhanced and the aged exemptions for 2022. We received the New York State list of continuing education classes for 2022. All appointed assessors must have 12 continuing education credits per year to stay state certified. There's a choice of either attending New York State's Association Conference and receiving the 12 credits then, or attending 3 or 4 one-day seminars to receive credits. All the 2022 age and enhanced star renewals have been sent out by the end of October. Also, the firemen's and ag land exemption renewals. I've begun to value the completed new construction assessments of 2020 and 2021 by inspecting each of those particular parcels. I have a list that Bruce Pruitt, code enforcement officer, has inspected and informed me of the completion. I will have to correct the inventory and reassess using new updated values. I have been installing completed inventory and computer files along with address changes, building permit, construction, and property transfers. The next assessment meeting will be live and held on December 1st of 2021. That's going to be our year end. We'll be going for our new election officers at that meeting.
How about solar? How are we doing on that?
We're not doing anything right now except for what we keep hearing, that the state is going to use figures, give their figures out, but right now, New York State Association is fighting with the state because they don't agree on what their figures are. So it's between them two organizations right now is where it's,
What is New York State saying for the figures?
I don't know what the New York State figures are.
Oh,
They're up and down on some of them, and they're trying to come to an agreement, but they got to work together. I don't even know what the association is trying to fight for right now. No idea about it.
So they don't come to an agreement for the next tax cycle, are we going to put a value on?
Yep. I'm going to put on from what I've already discussed about the $1,500 per megawatt. I'm going to put that on it. If it changes after the first year, well, then we'll do the figures. But as of March 1st, we have solar, and that's what we're going to use. So I'll get something on the books anyways.
other questions for Alan? Library. Recently, the air conditioners were taken out and put away. New smoke alarms were installed on recommendation of Dave Perry. She put in the 10-year battery smoke alarms both upstairs and downstairs. She met with representatives from the Brazier Falls Library to talk about how a reading room differs from a library and is considering that route would help them stay open in Brazier. Also, this reminds us to thank our town and town board for supporting our library and giving this resource to our community. She met with and went over training on interlibrary loan and processing new books into the collection with her helpers. She's been trying to make sure new books and series and bestsellers are available as soon as possible when we get them in. NCLS now offers access to an online app called Law Depot. A patron with a university card can use this app to draw up legal documents for various needs. A library patron would need an NCLS Universal Library Card to assess this application as well as the other online resources. Library cards are available through any library for all the online resources. The new library aide, Erin Wilson, is working on building up another homeschool group to use the library on a regular basis as part of their activities. She recently gave a tour to a new family and is working on scheduling events for their small group. Speaking of library, I attended, like I said, I went to Brazier's meeting last Wednesday and the topic of the library came up. They have formed a group, Friends of the Library or something, and they requested $30,000 a year for their library. And I thought, thank goodness Jan's not here. But they want to invest in some new printers, computers and stuff. They want to turn it into more like a business center too, so. But I was very happy with our library.
You think they should have one of those AVs over there?
At the library? Probably.
They probably have more people in and out on a daily basis than at one time. Yeah.
Let me see, maybe we can get a discount and we can get one. I'll check into that and, yeah, good idea though. Museum.
Nothing more here that I know. I do not really know that.
We're in it's Christmas Friday the 4th. We're doing the same as we did last year, drive-by Christmas. Yeah, same as we did last year. It worked very well, right out front. It worked very well last year.
What's in the Santa?
I think they should, prepared. They did last year.
Any more on the work?
Wait,
Move on.
So it's gonna have to be later.
I'm not 100% sure I can get this done before spring or not.
Oh.
We want to try to farm it out, somebody else or not. I don't, is there a timeline when this needs to be done?
We had 60 days to report that it was being worked on.
What's being worked on?
And that was came to our NYMER inspection.
Yeah,
Okay.
And they,
I would.
Let me talk to them this week, tomorrow.
now we found out what's wrong, and it sounds like more of a major issue compared to what we thought it was. And we just thought there had been water on it at one point, now we know where it's coming from.
What about
That makes it a little bit more.
Emergency lane,
Yeah,
that was being done all at the same time.
Oh,
We're
same
gonna try to.
what about the, access?
Ground, yeah,
Oh, the access from second floor of the library? I think.
nothing's been done with that. What do we need to do to just get up, throw rope ladders?
I think so, just to have it, so if something happens, they have a way out.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, Jim.
All right, I want to apologize for not preparing an agenda or, a report. That did slip by me, but I did spend plenty of time with paperwork other than that. It's been kind of a short whirlwind. We do have to revisit the pickup truck issue. We had a tough week. We talked to Gary Severs about the red truck that we were hoping to get back, the red pickup truck. Gary said to junk it. He said, you're not getting a computer for it, and when they do go back into production for making computers, he said it's not going to be for a 10-year-old truck, it's going to be for a brand new truck. So he said that truck will be sitting there a year from now and you still won't have a computer for it. So I would like permission to dispose of the truck. I don't know if you would like to consider going the same way we did with the green truck and calling Rick and seeing if he wants to purchase it. He was very fair on the last truck, or if you need to have it put out to a bid. There's very little value in it, though I was hoping that I could use it myself for a while, but that's not going to happen. So I don't know how you feel about that, or if we can make a decision on that and move on.
Is an option for a used computer, is that not even an option?
Well, that would be the first thing you would think of. Gary said if the truck was a couple, 3 years older, we could do that. The problem now is that with that vintage truck, it's when they started, the computer is programmed to the VIN of the truck. So if you take a junkyard computer and you stick it in there, when you power up the truck, all of the computers in the truck talk to each other. They don't recognize the new computer, and it's just going to shut the whole truck down. And then you're going to have to reprogram everything. So it's,
Yeah, don't they take those to the dealer, they plug them in, they reflash them, right? It's, I don't
they
think it's
have
truck.
to. I'm going by. Gary's been pretty good with us, but he said that they have to completely erase everything and reflash all of those. But you still have to get a computer that's going to match up to that VIN number. And I'll admit, some of this is a little bit beyond me. So he seems like someone that we can trust.
Well,
And
that's from my understanding with this computer thing. I went through it, and I scrapped the truck because that's those are. But they say you can take that, no matter what you put another computer in, but it's got to be, the dealer has the machine for it.
that's
And they
correct.
just reflash it.
We can't reflash, we still have to get another computer. And let's say we went to a junkyard and got one.
Right.
This is secondhand information, this is Gary talking to me, and me telling you in case I missed something in the translation. And he says even then, if you want to wipe that used computer, it doesn't always work very well. So we could spend a bunch of money trying to do it. There's also a transmission issue with the truck, from what I've been told. I've never driven it. It's been out of service for quite a while. At some point in time, I'm not sure if it's throwing good money after bad. So my opinion is at this point to take whatever we want out of the truck that's good, like the radio. And I don't want to leave it at Gary's shop. He's been good with us. He diagnosed one of our newer trucks and spent a bunch of time with us. didn't charge us anything for it. I mean, I just don't want to burn a bridge like that by leaving a vehicle in his yard for an extended period of time. So I'm trying to be polite because he's been good to us.
I think we gambled and we lost.
That's
We
my
we
feeling.
didn't know what we were really looking at. He thought he could fix it.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah, so
What's the savings on pickup from the state bid to Elder?
a lot. The
Yeah.
state bid that Chris found for us was 36,000. Jim looked at, and I think he's gonna cover this later.
After I'm done with the bad news.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, you go ahead.
All right, the transmission went in the flatbed this week. I called everybody I could call. Nobody would even look at the truck, other than Gary. We went right over to see him, and he diagnosed it. Problem is, the vehicle's still under warranty, so obviously we don't want to get in, tearing into it ourselves. We did run the VIN number with Ford, and they said it's covered until January of 2023, which we were pleasantly surprised. So that kept us from going any farther. New Country Ford in Saratoga has helped me out of the bind personally before. I called them, and they said, if you get the truck in, we'll get it in Monday. Well, we drove the truck right down and got it in there. They did get it torn down, and they said the transmission has to be replaced at shop. So that truck is out of commission. It is under warranty. They're gonna fix it. However, the date for the transmission coming in seems to be waffling around a little bit. I'm hoping sooner rather than later. I mean, last week would be nice, but I really can't give you a straight answer when it's coming. Is the truck coming back? Yes. When is it coming back? I really can't say. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But from what different dealers have told me, you know, Ford is giving you an availability date on reman and new. Well, the reman ones seem to be about impossible to get. So Ford is going to go for a new transmission, which I'm sure everybody's happy about. As long as they don't change that date, as long as they don't move that back, we should get the truck back, you know, within a few weeks. I don't know until they get a transmission put it in when exactly that's going to be. I went a long ways, but nobody else has even looked at the truck for 3 weeks. I realize going to Saratoga seems extreme, but they got the truck right in. I think a lack of options. That's the way I felt. I didn't make that decision on my own. I did ask permission for that because I would have taken it to Messina without asking anybody, but Saratoga seems, you know, pretty far out of normal and customary, so I did check with that. So I just took it upon myself to drive my own truck lately. We're just in the position where we just can't get any work done with one truck. And when we lost the flatbed, I was fearful that we wouldn't have the little sander that we use on that truck for like doing the parking lots and the small roads. So we did get a wiring harness, and Chris and the guys wired that up. And so now we can at least be a little more universal. In the future, if something bad happens, at least we can use the sander on more than one truck. But I feel like we're in a position where we really have to get another truck. I mean, I put better than 500 miles on my personal truck this week. And I don't really care. I don't mind doing that. I just don't want for every day to be prices like it's been. And like tomorrow, the guys got mowing to do. They have to take that truck because that's all they got to drive. And there's other projects that we need to get done. So I'm just going to continue driving my truck. I mean, we've got the big trucks all equipped with the wings and plows. It would seem foolish to take one apart. And even then, if you did, you can't safely climb in and out of those trucks. They're not meant, there's no ladders on them for climbing in and out of the bed to put chainsaws and things like that and go work on the roads, so. Not to mention it's just, wasteful, as far as wear and tear and fuel costs to drive something like that for doing, tree work on the side of the road. So, we did have 3 trucks and the flatbed at one point in time. I'm not asking to go back to that, but I do feel like we need 2 pickup trucks in the flatbed. The flatbed's coming back. I can't tell you exactly when, but I'd really like to see pickup truck ordered. And with all the work that's been done trying to find a truck, Chris finds a truck and 2 days later it's gone. So Chris found a good buy on the truck at Heritage Ford. Pretty much the same as what we've got right now, what they call truck number 1. And it was $43,320. 4-wheel drive, 8-foot box, regular cab.
How much was it, Jim?
$43,320. Now that is a 2022. It's an F-250 XL Super Duty. Basically like what we have now, no frills. And even now, if you said to me, oh yeah, you can go ahead and get it, I'm fearful that in the morning we'll place a call and the truck will be gone. It's how difficult things have been. But that's where we stand on that.
That's a brand new one?
That is brand new, that's correct.
Who's the dealer?
Heritage Ford, Burlington. I know it seems like a long ways, but if you can find a truck any closer, but the guys have put a lot of effort into doing that. I've had a lot of other paperwork that I've been trying to deal with, which I'll get to if we get by this subject. No, I don't mean that sarcastically or anything, but just trying to do one thing at a time. And I realize it's been a tough year. I mean, we had to get a big truck. I realize there's a lot going on. We've been discussing the bridge. That's a lot of money. We're hopeful that, there will be grants on that. So I realize it's not an opportune time. But I think going forward in the future, we've got to get on some kind of program where we're trying to devalue equipment and work on replacing things.
Does it have to be a 3/4 ton?
In my opinion, I'm not even really happy with that. There's not much difference price between 3/4 and 1 ton. But a lot of the 3/4 tons actually have the same spring package, like the same real 350.
And I didn't know if a half ton extended cab or full 4-door cab. One time we talked about having to have a full 4-door cab, now we're back to a regular cab.
I'm pretty desperate about that, so I'm not trying to ask for any frills.
No, but I'm just saying, we're gonna do something, we'll also try to do it right. I guess what I'm asking, do you have to have a 3/4 ton, or a half ton do what you're looking for? Are you looking for a transportation vehicle, or?
Well, I kind of learned a lesson on that, so my opinion's changed a little bit. Like, when we lost the 450, now we're down to 1 truck. And if, let's say that was a half-ton truck and not a 1 ton, we would not have been able to convert that sander to that truck. So ideally, what I would like to do is be able to take a plow off. I don't think we need a new plow, but if we get a new truck, I'd like to get a subframe so that any one of the trucks that we have, we could put a sander on it and plow, so it would be more useful and more universal. If something bad happens, somebody hits a deer and the truck is out of commission, that will put us in a pickle, it'll put us in a bind. And so I'm just trying to make things as universal as I can. If we were to get a half-ton truck, basically that truck would be a car for running. I mean, you put chainsaws in the back of it and things like that, but it will not be heavy enough for towing a rake, which I'd like to try to get away from doing that.
Okay, I think that needs to go behind a tractor.
I agree with you, and that's something that we've all discussed at the shop, and we will pursue that. I agree with you 100%. And it would also make your tractor more useful. Instead of just one thing that you do with the tractor, it would make it a lot easier to justify the money that say, this time of year, if you're trying to get anything done, you know, all the work that we're doing is out of the little trucks. And if you're gonna send 2 guys off to go mowing, you've got, what was my intent, get as much of that done as we could before snow shuts us down. You've got a guy in the machine, and you've got a guy for safety to keep anybody from driving up on it. So you've got a guy with the lights on. And it is kind of a dangerous piece of equipment, it does throw a lot of wood. So you've got to keep a good eye on what's going on. So then, like right now, Walt's on vacation, so it's just the 4 of us. So that was my intent, was to send Greg and Tim, or Chris and Greg mowing, and then I would take whoever's left and go work on some tree work, on some trees that look like they're going to be coming down the roads. But, like I say, that means, you know, I have to use my personal truck to do that. And as a temporary measure, you know, I don't mind doing that. But I just see this is going to continue happening if we don't replace that truck.
So, state contract vehicles, are they just not available, or does it take too long, and it would take too long?
38 weeks or
Yeah,
something
it was,
like
yeah.
that. If
Yeah.
that number has to
So-
change.
So we really don't have any other options other than that, and how much more economical is it? I mean, price varies, I guess.
Well, I mean, if they get this truck versus the state contract when they found this, like $5,000 for, they know, maybe.
The reason, you know, we spec the state contract truck with the crew cab is because we thought the red truck was coming back and get a few more years of life out of that truck. And the crew cab would be able to move the whole crew together with one truck.
Right.
Because being the 450 a regular cab and Steve's truck, or I'm sorry, Jim's truck one being a regular cab, we had to take numerous vehicles to go to one job site.
It's not my truck, I've only driven it for 5 months.
Sorry, it's happened.
Yeah,
That's why when we spec the first truck, we looked at the crew cab.
sure.
Now, we're in a bind. There's no truck setting. The cutoff for state contract was last Friday.
Okay,
You're not gonna get a new truck next year at all.
Right.
You're gonna wait for 2023.
right.
So I did a little research. This truck is the only truck around anywhere. I mean, I had to put in my own email. Ford to contact me, say, I'm looking for a truck, get to a dealer, get to their computer systems, and like, this is what we're looking for. Can you guys find me a truck?
Right.
And Heritage was the only truck around.
Okay.
So-
And why Ford? I mean,
That's back to me, I'm not brand loyal, but that's back to me trying to keep things as universal as I can. If one truck breaks, I can take the plow off that with the
Okay.
frame,
all right.
and so it will take some of the pain out of having a crisis when something bad happens.
Okay. That was, you know,
I'm
to
not.
me,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, I think it's just Ford that has state contract, is that correct?
No,
No, it's
you
not.
can do any truck you want. You can do a Chevy or Dodge.
Okay, all right.
And the maintenance for the vehicles, if you notice all of our big trucks, we're going to one type of truck, one
Right.
type of box, one type of plow. Everything is interchangeable.
Sure.
Same with our little trucks. It makes our job on the maintenance side so much easier.
And along that same line, I think the guys have been doing a really good job with the big trucks. That seems to be professional. You know, trucks are planned on cycling out, but we're not doing that on any of the other equipment. And what that means is unless we change that, you're gonna see me here every 6 months in a panic because I need new this or I need new that. And when it comes to replacing something like a backhoe or wheel loader, you should know long before it happens. I mean, bad things sometimes happen, but you should know ahead of time when I expect something has to be replaced. It shouldn't be a surprise. Just like the pickup truck. I mean, you don't want me to come and throw a fit and say, oh my God, I need a truck on a regular basis. You know, you've got to get on some kind of plan.
I'm just gonna throw an idea out there. You gotta have good ones and bad ones. There's an auction coming up Wednesday. There's a fleet of, 2020 GMC extended cab pickups, four-wheel drive, with 40, 50, 60,000 miles on it. It's not ideal, but if the price is right, it gets you out of a bind for now. I'm not saying this is the perfect deal, I'm just saying it's an idea. Good or bad, I'm just throwing this idea out there. The trucks have been looked at. The trucks got looked at today. These are out of the south. There's no rust on them. They're all work trucks, they all got rubber floor mats, leather seats, whatever you want to call
Well, it makes it easier to take care of. That,
them. I'm just throwing that out. I had somebody look at them today because I'm looking at one of them.
And what did you think?
What I think and what they're gonna go for, I don't know. But there's Wednesday. The
Yeah.
auction's Wednesday, we'll know.
I'm a little irritated with the price of used trucks. Walt and I, when we were in Saratoga, said, let's look at what they got while we're here. And we looked at a
I'm thinking
2020 with 6,900 miles on it, and it was $50,000, which makes you sick after. you know,
These are plain Jane pickups. I mean, you got steel rims on them. There's nothing fancy about them. They look nice, don't get me wrong,
But
the white.
so was that truck that we looked at, 6,900 miles, it was a Ford F-350, 6,900 miles, perfect shape. The tailgate was a little scratched on the inside, you know, probably from dragging lumber or something, but no issues at all, but $50,000.
Well, I'm hoping these trucks are gonna go between 25 and 30. I'm hoping. Will they go that? I don't know. I'm sure me and 4,000 people are looking at them too, so.
Is that also a Ford you're looking at?
Warranty, right?
Because I'm trying to.
Right, right.
Let's go to the 36,000.
I'm not brand
I think
new.
it may be,
Yeah.
maybe Ford with their shortages and stuff are going for it.
I drive a Dodge myself, so,
Yeah.
and I've had probably more Fords than anything over the years. I've had some Chevys too. I would jump ship at any time if I thought somebody was making a better truck. At this point, I really don't feel that way. And I realize cost is a big issue. I'm telling you what I would like to do, but I realize sometimes you can't do what you want to do. I just feel like it takes the stress out of a bad situation. If we get a half-ton truck, I'm grateful that we'll have a truck that we can use. I agree with Rick. I think we should do everything we can to stop, pull, and brake with a truck. My feeling is, considering the vast amount of plowing that we have to do, we'll kill a half-ton truck. So
I agree with that. I'm saying this is more of a personal delivery truck.
go get
Go
parts.
to the woods, it ain't gonna last as a plow truck for very long.
The only thing that I would say on that is if we're going to get to a professional management program where we're going to try getting on a schedule, it might throw a monkey wrench in it, because if it's,
It's just a Band-Aid.
How many miles do these trucks have on them?
40 to 70.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the
No, I
perfect
know, I
solution.
know.
I can say
I
this
guess
is
what
the
I'm-
direction we gotta go. I'm just throwing the idea.
Yeah, what I'm
out.
thinking is if we can get this brand new one, we've got the truck with no miles and we have a warranty. We would not have a warranty with a used
No,
one.
I agree with you. I'm just throwing this
And-
option out there.
Yeah, I know.
What's your purchasing policy? Rick,
I don't know, Mickey. What is it? I don't have it with me.
I know it's like, what, 20,000, you don't have to do anything but
Right.
do that.
But,
But you could probably get around it saying, but you have to know it in a minute, that it's an emergency situation, availability, blah, blah, blah.
Which would not be far from the truth, for sure.
there's the possibility that if you said, yes, Jim, you can get that truck,
That it
and
could
we
be
went
on.
back and I asked Chris to call Heritage, there's a possibility the truck's already done.
right.
And
But we need to make a decision so you can call them and see if it's still.
right, and well, I would still like to kind of figure out what Rick is saying. Let's say you went with Rick's idea. How would that get handled? I mean, could you do such a thing? I don't know how you would handle that. I mean, it's a little easier if you ask for permission to get a new truck and you just, you know, how do you let somebody go to
Who
an auction?
has the auction?
Ritchie Brothers auction. They're worldwide, they have them all.
Oh, they sell a lot of equipment, a lot of equipment.
And they deal with a lot of fleet.
Can we, do you have 30 days to make payment, or you have to make payment
When
that day?
you get it?
You gotta wire them the money.
Immediately?
Sooner the better.
There is it's a short, you know, I think it's pretty short, like 24 or 40 get out. It's relatively-
Nah, you got,
Is it?
they may say we wanted this, but they're very good on the way.
Where are they?
And where are they located?
Orlando.
So you,
Chicago.
That's what I mean, they're out of the south, they're fleet pickups, they're out of a construction company, actually they're in Davenport.
Yeah, for, because I'm just gonna put this out there, you have a very healthy unspent fund balance.
Yes.
That they need the trust, and if you think that the new way is the way to go, you should just transfer from your unspent fund balance, put it in for it.
Now, another thing, like there's a county in Alabama, there's a lot of counties in Alabama that do this. They will buy their trucks, and they're in a different situation than we are. Like their dump trucks, all that, they don't have plow trucks, like all their town trucks, they run them for 1 to 2 years. They buy them under state contract, and they're sent right to an auction. They don't change tires, brakes, they don't do anything like that, they don't keep them long enough. And they get just about what they paid for them out of these auctions, and they keep rotating new equipment in there every 2 years. Is this something we can do with a pickup under state contract that you buy, and every 2 years you put it out for bid to sell it? Could we get her, I don't know how, that's why I was asking how much of a gap there is between my retail price and the state bid.
I'll tell you what, I think you could replace trucks pretty well that way. I do think one thing you would have to do is probably have to have a truck with a little more luxury to it, because it's like, you know, when I ordered the truck that I drive, the guy said, make sure you want this, because we don't want that with rubber floors, we'll never sell it. And if you buy a stripped down truck like what Chris found, it was a ridiculous good price. You know, $36,000 for a 1-ton, single wheel, you know, 4-door. There's a market for those out
That
there.
is extended cab you found, Chris?
no, the
Oh,
one
I
in
thought
town,
regular cab.
That was a
Oh,
state
yeah.
contract. But that truck, if you bought that and you drove it for 2 years, it would be a smaller market you could, you know, market it to, because it would be a stripped down truck. But I gotta think that truck has still gotta be worth $30,000.
I'm just throwing out what these other municipalities do down south.
I think it's a good idea, but getting there could be difficult.
I think we've done that on the loaders.
Taylor, we did great on that.
We got rid of, traded that in, and got another new one, and we got a really good.
Last I knew, they're still sitting there too.
to your question, Ricky, this shows you the savings. This was the truck that I spec'd earlier.
That was looking back now, hindsight 2020, but it still wouldn't help if you still wouldn't have it.
No, and if you said go ahead and buy it, you still could right now. So it really isn't.
The savings cost for state bid, that truck spec'd out at $48,000. We saved $12,104 through state contract.
And that's with the plow.
No,
Oh, it's got a
that
plow.
that was the crew cab that I spec'd. So you and me, it would cost us $48,400. But for the town, it cost us $36,300. So you're getting $12,000 savings through state contract. It's unfortunate that this new truck, once they hit the lots, the pricing doesn't change. Like, we can't tell them we want a state contract. It doesn't work that way. Because we tried on one earlier in the year. Once they hit the lot, it's a totally different ballgame. You have to pay what the dealer gets it for.
Now, hypothetically, if you sweet talk anybody, could you get under the state contract again to order a truck or not?
I can for 2023.
No, you couldn't, you missed that
We missed the
deadline,
cutoff.
they
That
won't,
was last Friday.
they won't sweet talk you unless you
Nope.
back in.
No,
Walt and I tried to talk to New Country about a 1-ton, well, it was a 550 dump they had there. And they didn't really even want to talk to us about negotiating, because they felt they had something that no one else had. And basically, they weren't willing to deal on it. And I think that's something that we might run into too.
That's what I was thinking, actually, like cheaper, like half ton truck you can buy now and order
Right.
the 3/4 ton the way they want it.
Thoughts? We have the money.
I
Can I-
really think that we should just bite the bullet.
Where is that, money coming from? What fund? No, I'm not, I'm just curious, please don't tell me it's CHIPS money.
No.
No.
I was just starting to sweat thinking about it.
We have money in a reserve account. Well, unexpended,
Well,
yeah,
We're not gonna use that.
right. But we have it in a savings.
We have an unexpended balance every year, Jim, your budget, your unexpended balance can increase. What it is any money that doesn't get used out of the budget, it rolls, it doesn't go back into the budget because December 31st is the end. So that money, all of it stays in the account, in the savings checking account. It just increases. So it becomes an unexpended fund balance. And in your budget, they use part of that every year to offset taxes. But their unexpended fund balance has gotten very healthy. They apparently do a good job staying within their budget, so they have money left over every year. So therefore, it's increasing and it's healthy, and it's like,
Well, we also got more sales tax than.
and we got way more sales tax than what we had planned on over the years, and so that it's extra money that's in your budget, so it just accumulates.
You know, I mean, we might have to move some accountants around to get to that amount.
Chris, is
But we can do
there
it.
any extended cabs out there?
No. Available, no. I did find one in Ogdensburg, but it's on hold, and there was 7 people in front of me that have to say that they don't want it before I even get an option to even look at it.
Did you order a brand new one, what were we, 12 weeks?
38.
No, not state bid. I thought we ordered a brand new one, I thought I heard where it's.
I'm not sure. I mean, some dealers are gonna tell you, I can have your new truck and treat it in 6 weeks.
And that doesn't seem to be happening.
That-
Okay, I just heard the advertisement of,
Right, you've heard the same ones we have on radio.
yeah.
Right,
It's
yeah.
No.
extended cabs, and they're gonna jump the prices up.
I know, but if you're gonna spend 43, you spend 46 more, I don't know how much it jumps. You wanna get what you got and make it right. That's the only thing I'm saying is,
Yeah, are you going to be happy with the,
I'm also looking at $4 gas, we're looking at now, instead of taking 2 trucks, now we can take 1 sometimes, with 3 guys to fit in comfortable.
Well, you're talking a 4-door pickup with an 8-foot lot. You gotta have a spotter to turn it around.
Never said full 4-door, I said extended cab. You can cram up a little bit. No, I'm joking, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna spend 43, how much is it gonna cost you to get what you want?
You're absolutely right, I just not sure how we get from where we are to.
I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, I don't know how to bridge that gap because of the situation we're in. We can only take what we have available. And there is another truck, I did remember, Frenchie has one. Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 2021?
No. The 19, isn't it?
Or 19, it's got 22,000 miles on it, but it's even more money. That's an extended cab 8-foot box. The truck's huge.
48,
But
48, wasn't that one?
just about 48, it's 47.7. So you're talking even more money.
And, does it have any mileage on it?
22,000.
I get what you're saying, you gotta want a bare bone basic, stripped down. As soon as you start going extended cab, you start going cloth, leather.
Especially now
Don't
being
get
able to
packed.
use state bid. State bid really saves us a lot of money, but we can't wait that
Oh,
long.
we don't have, okay.
The one you looked at, was that crew cab?
The one that we were gonna look at was state bid crew cab, but that was before we'd lost all our other trucks. And then since state bid closed last Friday, we can't get this truck even next year, anytime. We will not receive this truck in the year 2022. We have to wait for 2023. So we have to look around. The only options we have, buy a used truck or buy a new truck on a lot. That's it.
I don't know. This might interest you, Sue. I knocked on a lot of doors the past couple of months, and this truck, believe it or not, is a big topic out there. And I get completely the 250, the 1 ton would be better to the plow, the sand, all that, but the taxpayers don't get it. And, you know, they have a, you know, if I see a sander on a 1 ton, I get it. You know, everybody gets that. But when you see a guy driving down the road with a crew cab, I'm talking out there.
One guy in the truck.
You know, one guy in the truck with a rake and a shovel in the back, and that 250 crew cab, you know, that kind of thing. It just gets little people ticked off. They don't get it. I mean, I know what you're saying.
But, you know, also, if
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I start turning in vouchers for mileage, I mean, that's a lot of expenditure too, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
the amount of miles that you drive, it's a lot, and a lot more than I thought. And the guys took me on the circuit of what would be my responsibility to plow. And like I say, that's 42.4 miles. I'm not saying you're plowing that much, but that's the circuit you drive. And so it's a lot of demand on a little truck.
Yeah.
It's tough on it.
I get it completely, yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, yeah, your road is one of those roads that has to be.
Yeah, we need the 1 ton.
Yeah.
So my thought is, let's take the money out of the expending fund, buy the truck this year, then look at buying another new truck. Because it's not gonna be until 23 anyway, before we even get it.
That might be a little bit early.
No,
If we buy the one that's on the lot, we get it immediately.
all right.
If we go state contract,
Okay.
we would have to wait until 2020.
Well, and we may have to revisit that.
But the other problem is truck one, we're stuck with that one. What year is that one?
It's 19.
We're stuck with that until 2029.
That has,
Because it's,
It wasn't bought with chip money.
no.
Yeah, it was.
That truck?
I asked if you guys could have followed similar.
No.
That made the comments, so why don't you trade that one in?
We thought it was, but it's not.
It's not.
Okay.
We bought plows with chip money, but we did not buy the truck with chip money.
So we may
That
have
was legal,
to,
that truck was not checked.
we need to get into that.
Okay, so I was told wrong, so we don't have to pick up the chip money then.
No,
No. No.
no. I think when we last, we bought,
was that mower.
was that?
But when we spent chip money on equipment, we were running through, and we bought that mower tractor. That was chip money.
Yes. Yes. we did. So what Jim is proposing is that I'm assuming that you're proposing we purchase this truck that's available.
If it's still.
And it's available.
should we purchase that truck? I think that next year would be too early to revisit it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I think once you get the truck, we're just gonna have to live with it for a while. And then the next time we replace the truck, we'll look at that. 'Cause I just think we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot by replacing it.
And I think since we know that we got more sales tax money than we were anticipating, let's bite the bullet and do it.
Yes, I make a motion that we bite the bullet
And
purchase this truck.
and hope and
We have
pray
no
that
option.
it's available.
So little.
Yeah.
Second?
No.
Rick, seconds, all in favor?
I really appreciate this. It's gonna make life a lot easier. I don't know how to go about doing it though, because there's somebody that I need to see first thing in the morning.
First thing, we call them tomorrow morning, first thing, to see if it's available, and if it's available, tell them we're on our way to get it.
No
Okay.
sales tax.
All right.
Yeah, no sales tax.
We'll bring them a voucher and.
That's how that gets handled.
Yeah, so,
Because Dick's not gonna be available tomorrow.
I was gonna, I actually could maybe in the office for tomorrow morning, so.
You tell them to hold it for a day.
And you, I
They
have
understand
myself
the
number,
number
if
moves
you,
so slow.
if you need something, you call me.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it takes, if they need numbers, PO number,
yeah.
we'll be all right to get hold of you, to hold
You
it.
know where I am, Jim, so.
I know where you live.
So, Leah, let's get that done. And thank you for your patience while we work through this. And it's nice to have the highway actually explain why it's needed. I don't think we would, I think we would have put it in the budget if we would have really known how important it
No,
was.
we kept assuming we're gonna get the red one.
Yeah, true, but,
That was a hope.
And we still would be in this position, we'd be in a worse position if we would have ordered the truck.
yes,
Because we still
yes,
wouldn't have
because
the
we
truck,
still
and
didn't
we
have
still
it.
would
Right.
So,
That's true.
Your hands are tied, you already got your money
we,
spent.
so Jim, we
this
have
may be the
any
best
more?
situation we got out of.
Next item on your list.
We're not done.
Well, we're gonna hold the ball on the first one then.
We're gonna go back to the questions that Rick's been asking for a while. Everybody's been helpful on trying to come up with those answers. Rick, you've been trying to find out what does it cost to pay, and some of the questions about shared services. I'm not here to say go one way or go the other, just to give you the information. I spoke to Don Chambers about the questions that, circulate around. There are no repercussions to you withdrawing from shared service. It does not affect Chip's money, and he said that is between you and your board. So, just so we know the answer to that, if that should happen. I do think if you were to withdraw from shared services, and a year from now you decided that you made a poor decision, I think it would be very hard to fix hurt feelings that might happen, with other towns. I just think that's something that, it's a pretty serious issue, and if the board decides to go that way, it's something that you should talk about and consider that if we make a mistake, it will be hard to repair that, I think. But on the other hand, if you do it and it works out good, everybody else is going to be doing the same thing. But Chris is here to help me because I did come up with some information on blacktop. Now, there's some things that I didn't realize with the shared services. Like, we do shared services with Pier Pond. They're quite a long ways. But what I did not realize, and you don't get it out of a book when you just go through and you're trying to glean all the information you can out, is Chris was explaining to me that the only thing we do for Pier Pond is help them with their blacktop. We don't haul sand for them. And when we haul blacktop for Pier Pond, we send 2 trucks, we send 4 to us. So that's really the only thing we're doing with them, is that it's pretty small.
But is anybody keeping track of man hours?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get you some accurate numbers. You've been wondering about that for a while. And we've got 28 days of hauling blacktop, not for hot. We've got 4 days for hot. Okay, so it's a total of 28 days that we're hauling blacktop. Now, I'm going by the numbers that I'm getting out of records. Won't help me with that. Chris is also explaining to me, well, go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, okay. So we went through, there's 7 towns, about 7 towns working in a group, Boston 6 other. So we do shared services in the towns of Stockholm, Lawrence, Brazier, Parrishville, Colton, and Pier Pond. So from the town of Lawrence, what we